Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Morning Comic Review. I'm your host, Dylan Wallace. Today, we got a great issue for you guys. We got a nice little mix here, so I think it's about half and half. It may be 5 and 5 of current stuff versus backlog, which is pretty good. Overall, I think the week was pretty solid. I was actually able to pick up the books on Thursday. Had a little PTO. We did a little family day in the afternoon, but that allowed me to get the books in the morning, which is nice, which sets us up good, of course, for the Omega for next week. So I think we're all good. We're rocking and rolling. The biggest thing, I think, overall for the previews that came out, which is these are books that are going to be coming out in January. So before we go into like kind of our normal rigmarole with polls from this week, the reviews, and then the polls for next week, those previews did come out at the beginning of this month, and I took a look. There were two series that I was really interested in. One was Iron Man, so we're going to start off with another quote-unquote, we'll see if it actually happens or not, kind of a long, ongoing series of Iron Man. I don't think we've gotten past issue 11, so they're restarting that, and looking forward to it. I'm broken when it comes to Iron Man, so whether or not it's a good creative team or not, I'm going to be there for it. So that's just one of those things that's pretty much automatic for me, so I'll definitely be picking that up. And then the other one that's going to be coming out is a one-shot for Bug Wars, and this is going to be, I think it's called The Witch's Spire or something like that. But it's basically going to be more about the Spider Witch and maybe some of their background, and going to bridge into volume 2 of Bug Wars. So those are the two, that one shot and then the kickoff of this new Iron Man run, which I am looking forward to. I think from those two, that's really all I need, to be honest with you. Loved Bug Wars a lot, and obviously I love Iron Man. So put those two together, and from my perspective, we are rocking and rolling. So yeah, I think with that, let's go ahead and jump into the show, shall we? Let's get into the polls for the week. And before we do that, as always, love to go into what are the picks of the week thus far. So up on the screen, you guys can see it right now. This week, I'll say, is a bit of a different one compared to most, because I don't have like the one or two book of the week, which is kind of surprising. So number one here is Batman issue number 3. 32% of the vote, which is kind of par for the course, as I would say, for the top book of the week, but I'm not on Batman, so I don't have that. Then in the number 2 spot is DCKO Night Fight, issue number 1, and I've been burned in the past of going into events and then trying to get some of the tertiary books, so I try actually to stay away from them, just because I find more times than not it actually doesn't really pertain to the big story, and just trying to be conscious of budget. And so I'm like, okay, why are we actually, dabbling into this stuff? Let's just stick kind of to the core event. And seems like this one's actually a pretty good one, and KO is already off to a pretty good start. So I may get suckered into picking up some of those books later, but we'll just have to wait and see. Then in the number 3 spot is Assorted Crisis Events issue number 6. So I picked up the trade for the first volume, and then at this point I probably will just go and buy them on trades moving forward. But I got to get to the trade first, see if it's worthwhile to continue into issue number 6. But it looks like it's continuing off to a great start for volume 2. Then Absolute Superman issue number 13, read it, and we will review it today. It is on the pull list. And then lastly is Absolute Green Lantern issue number 8 with 6% of the vote. Absolute Superman had 8% of the vote. Assorted Crisis had 9% of the vote. And Absolute Green Lantern is going to be saved for the Omega for next week. So those are the books. And I realize there's a whole bunch of light that's going off on my face here. I have like pro wrestling up on the screen, and it's like has all this pulsing red and blue light as I'm going on right now. So that's what that is. If you see light going off for the video folks, just got the reflection of this TV going off in the background. But yeah, with all of that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the actual polls for the week here. So we had 9 books in total. So for the 9 books, I'll just let you know which ones are going to be for the Omega or not. I think, yeah, we actually do have one backlog, so I'll just call them all out as I'm reading through them, basically. So we have Absolute Green Lantern, issue number 8. Like I mentioned, that'll be the Omega. Absolute Superman, number 13. Reddit, we will review it. The Avengers, number 32. Reddit, will review it. G.I. Joe, issue number 13. Reddit, will review it. Huck, The Big Bad World, issue number 6. Reddit, will review it. Miles Morales Spider-Man, number 40 is going to be a backlog. Minor Arcana, issue number 11. Reddit, we will review it. Rook Exodus, issue number 8. Reddit will review it. And Void Rivals, issue number 24. That will be for the Omega. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that we have from the current week, and then 4, of course, from the backlog, which is good. Did want to kind of split up the absolutes for what would be on the current and the Omega, just to split up things a little bit, but had to jump into Superman for what's considered like the actual issue of this podcast, because the Omega is supposed to be kind of the additional or the filler if I get to it type of deal. So yeah, those are the polls. So let's go ahead and jump into the review for this week. So, again, 10 books overall. Let's go ahead, switch up the camera here, get you to the main cam. As always, I'll just let you guys know up front, in case you're tuning in for the first time. If you are, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. But I do spoil the heck out of all these books, so bear that in mind. If you do not want spoilers in your reviews, it's just not going to be the podcast for you. But I'll let you know my rating on League of Comic Geeks. I'll let you know League's rating. I'll let you, or try to catch you up on the story thus far. We'll talk about the book itself, the artwork, and then whether or not this is a good one to jump into, and then any other random commentary that I have on top of that. So for the audio folks, I'll go ahead and read off the list of the 10 books that will be reviewed in this particular order. So we're starting off with Absolute Superman, issue number 13. Then we'll go to Minor Arcana, issue number 11. Then we'll go to Huck, Big Bad World, issue number 6. Rook Exodus, issue number 8. The Avengers, issue number 32. G.I. Joe, issue number 13. Emma Frost, The White Queen, number 4. X-Men, number 22. Miles Morales Spider-Man, number 36. And then Battle Chaser. So this is basically the conclusion of this super long trade. It's a bit of an encyclopedia. It's 9 issues in total, so it's quite a thick book. And we finally wrap this up, and then we'll get on to the singles kind of moving forward. So those will be the 10 books in that order. We'll start off with Absolute Superman, issue number 13. So for this book here, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.1. I do have to say for this book, it is the cover of the week. But I say that kind of with a caveat. I feel like the covers this week were actually pretty weak overall. In comparison, it's usually one where I'm like, yep, absolutely. Sometimes there's like multiple where it's like, okay, is it this one? Is it that one? This one, I was like, I had to like decide like, all right, I guess I'll give it to this one. I just wasn't super jazzed with all the covers that we had for this week. But I am going to give it to Absolute Superman. So issue number 13 here. Catch you up on where we're at. The Absolute Universe, if you don't know already, right? The universe itself is kind of a bizarro universe, if you will. So we have these two universes that split off from the evil kind of god, demon, whatever you want to call it, of Darkseid, and his Omega energy kind of exploded and created this alternate reality, which is the Absolute Universe, similar on the Marvel side to the Ultimate Universe. And so we are following Superman, this version, this origin story is slightly different. His cape, soul, it's basically an AI cape that's with him. And the big bad in this world is the Lazarus Group, which is run by Ra's al Ghul. Obviously, normally a Superman villain, or a Batman villain. In this case, it's going to be Superman. So they're going after Superman. Ra's al Ghul wants to make Superman his son and basically his weapon of destruction. Obviously, Superman said, no, I'm not going to do that. So Ra's al Ghul's like, fine, I will put the pressure where it hurts, and I will go after Smallville. So that catches us up to where we are right now, and this is the siege of Smallville, basically. So all the residents, they've done the best that they can to prepare, to gather weapons, and try to hold off as best as they can. They have Superman, and what he decides to do is he takes Soul, removes the cape, and tells Soul, put a protective barrier around the city. So he'll basically be fighting without Soul for this, and that's what they decide to do. All of Lazarus, they come in and they do kind of the standard stuff that you'd imagine for sieges, right? They block all the communications of going out. They get rid of all the airplanes by carpet bombing them. And now they're starting to go for like the water supply. So Superman's doing his best to fight off as much as he can, but it is just an onslaught, just a blitzkrieg of one after another. And Superman's getting to the point where he's just exhausted and hasn't had time to recharge, right? Because if he stops for a second, then Lazarus is going to push beyond and get to the point of, start actually killing civilians. So that's a big piece of this. The other thing is Lois, she wants to get out Superman's story. She's like, this is the time. This is the perfect chance to let the world know who you are, what you're defending, and what you're all about. She's like, I promise, like the world is going to understand and rally behind you, and you'll be looked at as a hero. And then Superman's like super skeptical, right? Because of all the horrible things that have happened, and he's worried about it, and then puts a lot of blame on himself. Now it's like by showing that I cared about Smallville, now it's being targeted as is. So he's okay with putting out the story, but he's apprehensive about it. So that's another part of the story. Then towards the end of this issue, while Soul is in this protective, Fortress of Solitude type of state over Smallville, Brainiac, who's working with Ra's al Ghul, finds a way to somehow corrupt Soul, and so the cape then kind of dissipates, and now Superman's kind of fighting it a little bit. And as he does, there's some kryptonite that is present, and Ra's al Ghul is now standing on top of Superman. Looks like he's about to kill him with the kind of the final blow, and Superman's going to lose. Smallville's going to fall. Superman's going to be Ra's al Ghul's, weapon of destruction. So that is a cliffhanger. Pretty awesome book. Again, I gave it a 4. I think the reason I gave it a 4 is it was a very wordy one for Absolute Superman. I was a little surprised by it. Action's excellent. The artwork is excellent there. But at the core of it, it still is kind of a Superman book of like, okay, a lot of fighting, a lot of emotions that are tying back and forth. But I kind of see this where it's going. We'll see if they surprise us. But he's going to be able to get out of this some way, somehow. I don't feel like he's 100% in a bind, but we'll have to just wait and see. So I think that was the reason that I didn't fully give it like a 4.5. I just didn't buy it as much as I would have hoped. But even still, it's a good issue. Is it the one to jump into? It feels like we're towards the end of a revolution, the end of a conflict, so I don't think I can recommend it. But, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast now, you understand who Superman is, right? So if you understand that ethos and, what the character is, what the universe is about, you'd be fine jumping into this. There's a big fight. Superman's trying to stop it. It'll kind of playing the classical threads, if you will. So you wouldn't be that lost and confused. Other than, like, why is Ra's al Ghul fighting Superman? That would be confusing, but then you just would have the podcast to let you know it's about the absolute universe. It's a little weird. It's a little funky. And, that's kind of the point. So, yeah, let's go ahead and show off some of the artwork here. Again, for the audio folks, right, it is an absolute, like, modern war scene, right? So you have a whole bunch of tanks and fighters and soldiers all attacking, and then Superman's doing his thing. So a bunch of stuff that's exploding, a bunch of the, laser beams from his eyes. He's flying around, doing a whole bunch of destruction and damage, as you would imagine. But really great detail here, a bunch of reds throughout the book. But yeah, I really thought it was and honestly, Absolute Superman has been a step up. But I thought this one in particular was a really good example of some of the best artwork from Absolute Superman. So I enjoyed that a lot. And then there's Ra's al Ghul at the end standing on top of him. He's got this huge like buster sword, all glowing green from the kryptonite. So yeah, that's Absolute Superman issue number 13. Again, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.1. Then next up here, we have Minor Arcana. So this one has been an awesome independent book. So I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.3. A little bit of a smaller sample size here because we have only 42 ratings. Kind of confusing on how to really catch you up on this book. So I'll give you kind of the short of it. We have Teresa. She has come back to this town, and she's starting to discover that she has psychic abilities. And her mother is a psychic, but she was kind of doing the whole scammy version of being a psychic. Teresa is actually truly a psychic, and she's coming to grips with all these powers. She's also an alcoholic. This is her hometown. She's got a lot of baggage here. But we've come to the point of the story where there's like this larger conspiracy going on. So she's got a friend. Her friend has a brother who's been hanging out with this biker gang. She's decided, you know what, I'm going to go and try to find my brother. So we're in issue 11 now. She goes there and she tries to find him. They're like, yeah, he was here, but he hasn't been here for a while. She's like, oh, where'd he go? It's like, well, I know where he went. He's dead. So huge reveal there that, he's gone. So that's one piece of it. The other thing is Teresa's mother. She's dying of cancer, and so now she started dating an older guy, and Teresa's like all up in arms about it. But they seem like a nice little cute couple. Well, come to find out that the boyfriend got beaten up, and he's a little bit of a hippie. He's trying to petition this dam that they're trying to put into the town, and he got beaten up for it. And so Teresa does like a tarot card reading when her mother steps out, because she's still dabbling with these powers. And it's like, well, could this actually work here? And so she tries it, and then sure enough, she gets the whole vision and sees, where he was mugged, who mugged him, and something around why it is. And, as an adult, you can kind of piece together some sort of capitalistic brokering and deal that they're trying to do and bully people out of staying out of here, make sure the bill passes, then they put up the dam, somebody makes a whole bunch of money, someone gets screwed, right? Classic. So if anyone's ever lived in this world for a millisecond, like I'm sure that's what they're alluding to here. And so, yeah, she goes out to tell her mother and starts, asking her mom of like whether or not she had these abilities, and that's been alluded to kind of throughout the series, and the mom's like still not quite understanding. She's all shaken up and she drinks a lot and she's on this cancer medication, so very easily confused. And so like they're screaming out there, and there's this police officer who's married to an ex-girlfriend of hers. He shows up, and there's been kind of back and forth with them in some earlier issues, and Teresa's like, hey, you got to go, and you have to go towards the power plant. I know these people are hiding out there. They're the ones that assaulted my mother's boyfriend. You just have to trust me, and you just have to go. Don't really get much further than that on that detail. So then we get towards the end of the book here, and those guys that are hiding out there, they call, and who they call is the biker gang, like the owner of that bar, who just told Teresa's friend about her brother dying. So now it's like, okay, things are starting to interconnect here. And then sure enough, they start laying out the plan of like, hey, we beat up that guy. Like, we didn't kill him or anything like that, but like he may still cause trouble. Like, we don't know. He's like, it's fine. Lay low down there. We'll send you food, this, that, and the other. And like, okay, that's fine. And like, what are we going to do about this Teresa girl? Like with the psychic, she seems to be causing some trouble. And he's like, don't worry, we have something set up for that. And in earlier issues, there's like this weird group that's been going, not after Teresa, but like kind of harassing her of like, you need to stop doing tarot readings or psychic readings or whatever. And so while Teresa is all held up in the hospital, he goes and breaks into her shop and like puts up this camera thing that spies onto, where they do the tarot card readings and all that stuff. So we'll see where it all leads. So yeah, that is Minor Arcana. Not really a good time to jump into this book, to be perfectly honest with you. At this point, you just got to start from the beginning, because the narrative thread, it's a little slow, burny pace in particular, but it starts to pick up like pretty quickly. It's a page turner for sure. And how it's written, I just like how you get just enough exposition that's like wet the whistle, and I'm interested in more. Doesn't leave you wanting too much more, but then it doesn't like do it over the top. It's like, you're an adult, you'll figure it out. And sure enough, as you read it, you're an adult and you figure it out. And it's really well done and well paced overall. So I like the book a lot. Let's go through some of the artwork here. This is the one that is more kind of the water painting style, if you will, or watercolors. And so it's more on the narrative than it is on the artwork itself. And, these are just kind of regular people in their town. They do some cool things with like the juxtaposition of the different panels and the way you have different kind of figures layered over the panels and things like that. Like, excuse me, I'm pretty into that side of the comics rather than something that's just basic and ordinary. But it's not too insane. It's just mostly about the narrative at this point. So I'm enjoying it a lot. So that's Minor Arcana issue number 11. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.3. So next up here is going to be Huck big bad world. And I love doing these types of reviews because I gave this a 4 and there's no score on it for League. So that means not enough people have read it and reviewed it on League of Comic Geeks, which is totally fine. Not the one to jump into because this is the conclusion of this series, but I enjoyed this one so much that I do recommend the trade overall. I had a really great time with this. The story goes in a totally different direction than I thought it was going to. Towards the end here, I think the conclusion is like, okay, maybe that wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but I was okay with it. So to catch you up on the story, we have these superheroes. The way that they get these superpowers is from this witch somehow invites them into a forest, like just kind of shows up. They have this vision. They're in this forest, offers the soup. They drink the soup. Suddenly they have superpowers. They're being hunted and persecuted, and many have died in the previous issue. And so Huck is with his girlfriend who doesn't have superpowers. She's bit of a tortured soul. She's got a kid by an abusive ex-boyfriend. She's pregnant again. We don't really know whose kid it is. They were attacked, right? Because Huck also has these superpowers as well. But they were able to fight off these attackers by using like psychic abilities. But Huck doesn't have those powers, and this girl doesn't have those powers either. So we're thinking that the baby has these powers, and it's actually Huck's kid. So once that's all discovered, we start and pick up in this issue. So Huck and the girl, they're trying to figure out what their next move is. And they realize that a character in previous issues who had superpowers of, I think it was raising animals from the dead, is still alive. And this organization that's going after trying to kill all these superheroes take her and use her as bait to draw in Huck because he's just this wonderful guy, huge heart, can't really turn down trying to save someone. So they go after him, even though they know it's a trap. And as they're going after them, they stop for a night. Huck has this dream, and he sees the witch there. And the witch says in like a foreshadowing way of like, you know who I am. Huck's like, yeah, you're the one that gives everyone the superpowers. He's like, no, but you know who I actually am. Cuts away. I'm like, okay, that's weird and odd and mysterious. We'll see what that means. So then the next day they get to the place where the girl who is the bait, they find her, and sure enough, it is a trap. The guy who's running the whole op is like, there are 2 nuclear bombs on either side. Huck has like super speed. Even you can't run away from this. I will detonate them now. And he's like, you think it's a trap, but I've actually trapped you. And then suddenly that guy is then brought into like kind of the forest or like a dream or a dimension, and the witch shows up. And the witch shows up and has the bowl of the soup and offers it to him. And Huck is basically like, once you drink this, you're going to see exactly what's going on here. And then sure enough, the woman reveals, or the witch, that she is actually the planet Earth, as in the body of a witch. He's like, you kind of see whoever you see. For most people, it's a witch, but she's actually planet Earth. And basically explains that throughout time in history, she is the one that has like caused evolution, if you will. And she basically sees that humans have run their course and it like is what it is for humans. You're cooked. So now we got to evolve humans into the next form, which are going to be these, superheroes. They're going to be able to take care of everyone. They're going to spread and populate and go across the world. And it's just going to make the world a better place. But more importantly, they're going to get to a point where they can leave Earth and then go and populate, the rest of the solar system, to the galaxy, and so on and so forth. And so I was like, wow, what a crazy turn that is. And so sure enough, the guy does drink, and he does believe in this vision. And he was a bit of a stooge for the powers that be, wealthy 1%er oligarchs that we don't know behind the scenes. And so he comes out of the trance and everything. And so the handler calls and is like, is it done? He's like, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to move forward with it. And then sure enough, explains everything that happens and kind of basically the oligarch group doesn't decide to pursue it any further. They're just like, yeah, we're not part of this. And that's totally fine. And so then the superheroes just go out and they do their thing and they start spreading good across the world. And that is the end. All's well that ends well type of deal. Huck, they go on to have like 5 kids and just spreading goodness and saving people and doing kind deeds across the world. So just a positive ending to the story. Overall, I do recommend this book. I think it is such a wild journey that we start off like, who is Huck? Seems like the special needs guy. Then we learn more that there's these other supers, and then it gets crazy with like trying to chase after one. And then you find the story of like, there's this big plot against them. And then the conclusion here is just like a happy feel good ending. So it's a dark horse joint. You can definitely pick it up and trade at some point. Mark Millar's on the writing. Let's flip over to the artwork here. Artwork is fine. I'd say serviceable. To me, it's more about the story on this one, but I think overall it's just pretty solid. It's, you know, a mix of kind of superpowered, superhuman stuff, but then and a little bit of fantastical. But it's more of a realistic art style overall, I would say. But yeah, it's pretty good. I like it a lot. So that is Huck, the Big Bad World, issue number 6. Again, I gave it a 4. League did not review this one. And I love those because then it means it's like, all right, if you're actually listening to the show, like, you know, you're getting a perspective on a book that like doesn't even have a rating. How dope is that? So next here, this one I love. It's going to be Rook Exodus, issue number 8. I gave it a 4.5. League gave it a 4.5 as well.
Nailed it. I know. Thank you. Moving on.
And this one, folks, is going to be the comic of the week. So incredible what is happening in this book. It just continues from everything that happened in the first volume on to this second volume as well. So issue number 8, to catch you up on the story, just a brief reminder, we have this world that was completely terraformed by this company, and it was supposed to be Earth's used up, all the resources are gone, humans are going to go and populate this planet. We've terraformed it, it's all good to go. But the world engine, the engine that terraforms the planet, has gone to shit. And on this planet, you have these different, they're called wardens, but basically they try to set up an ecosystem where human beings would wear these masks and they would basically communicate with these different animals. So Rook is in charge of a bunch of birds and ravens. The character Direwolf, she's in charge of the wolves. You have a character Carapace, he's in charge of the turtles. They wear this mask, and that's what allows them to communicate. But if you wear the mask for too long, you can start to like fuse with these animals. And so your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions and your instincts, everything becomes more like that particular animal. So we meet a new character here in the last one, but you know, we actually start to learn more about her here. Her name is Matterhorn, and she is in charge of the goats, and she's just like a billy goat, very stubborn, right? So you see kind of what we're getting at here. And they together are trying to find Rook, Direwolf, and Matterhorn are trying to find Bloodhound. So Bloodhound is Direwolf's father in real life. He's one of the OGs of this project and how he put it all together, but he's gone way past the edge. He's had the helmet on too long, and he's basically become a dog. So he's in charge of the canines, the dogs. But beyond that, he now has like a thirst for blood. So they have to like stop him from like hurting someone else, but then they also need his genius in order to restart this world engine. Wild concept, wild story. Previous issue, Bloodhound was going after, I can't remember who, but he was going after something, and he fell into this pit, and then we found this arachnid kind of, warden wearing this mask. And so now Rook, Direwolf, and Matterhorn have found where Bloodhound is. And so now they're trying to go down into where the spiders are, but they don't realize that the spiders are there. Only us as the readers know. So they go down there. All the other animals can't go down, so they stay up. And they're trying to get to the other side of the mountain that basically has an entrance that the animals can access. So the 3 human wardens are down there, and then sure enough, they run into Bloodhound. So when they run into Bloodhound, Bloodhound starts fighting them. Direwolf's trying to be like, Dad, it's me, stop. But like, he's crazy, right? He's like literally lost his mind and keeps fighting. And then up top, you have all the dogs that are fighting off against, you have the ravens, you have the goats, and then you have the wolves, all fighting off against the dogs too. So it's both fights, and the scenes are going back and forth between those fights that are taking place down there, which is awesome. So then we get to the point where it looks like we have Bloodhound neutralized, but everyone then starts to see the spiders down there and like, oh crap, here we go. So then the spiders start attacking as well. It allows Bloodhound a chance to get a little respite, and then he starts to attack again. And it looks like he's got Hook down, pinned, and it looks like he's going to go for the killing blow. But then this new character comes running in, rams him from the side, and then knocks him over. And everyone's like, holy shit, who the hell is that? And he turns and he speaks in like a non-English thing, but Matterhorn understands him. And she says, he killed my wife. And that's like the end of it. And his name is Stag. So he's in charge of like the elks and like anything with like an antler. It's like, holy shit, dude. It is so cool. This is the coolest book ever. Oh man, I like so recommend this. It's insane. So yeah, 4.5. Lee gave it a 4.5, and it's a great one to jump into because it does a phenomenal job of literally explaining everything in like the first 2 to 3 pages, and then the artwork is excellent on top of that. It's just, it hits on every single note. I love Rook Exodus. As far as independent books, it's got to be top 3 at this point because I'm over the moon about it. So you get some of the artwork here and the incredible detail that you get with that as well. It's awesome saturation too. Like, look at this full splash with the spiders hatching out of the eggs and crawling down. I'm like, if you're arachnophobic, I don't even know if you can read this book. It is that high detail and like kind of terrifying. But then you have Stag introduced at the end here. Like, look at that character. You got to go onto the video to check that out, but it's dope at the end here. And so they're like, what? Who is that? He says, this animal killed my wife, was basically what he said. And then next, Stag. Woo! Looks like a badass. So yeah, that's Rook Exodus. Can't recommend it more. It is the best books, I'd say, out of all the... I'm not reading Geiger, but everything else I am reading from Ghost Machine. But to me, it is the best book from Ghost Machine. So highly recommend it. That's Rook Exodus, issue number 8. I gave it a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4.5 as well. Man, so good. Then next up here we have Avengers 32. So I gave this one a 4. Lee gave it a 3.8. And this one, I enjoyed it. But you need a lot of context in order to like this one, I think. Like, if you just hop into this one, you're going to be like, what the hell? This doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what's going on. So I'll just say from the jump, it is not the one to jump into. But if you've been reading it for a while, it's like, oh, it all kind of makes sense. So Avengers, whole bunch of different things have been happening. But at the point that we're at right now is the Avengers are trying to fight Merdin, and Merdin is trying to find the missing moment. We come to find out Merdin is actually Kang. So he basically created Merdin, which is himself, to like fight himself in order to make himself better. Weird, but that's what it is. So Merdin kept defeating Kang over and over again, and he realized, like, oh, the only way that would have happened is if I would have become Merdin myself and would have known all the moves that I would have made in order to make myself better. So that's who we're fighting now. So the Avengers are going after Kang effectively, and they're in this weird like pocket universe that has a whole bunch of like zombies, and all the zombies are like dead heroes and villains. So they're really extraordinarily powerful. So the Avengers are like doing the best that they can hold off, but this army is endless. So it seems like there's nothing that they can do. Meanwhile, the Impossible City is back over Earth, and the X-Men are taking care of all the Omega level threats while the Avengers are off-world. So X-Men are all down on Earth. Impossible City is up by itself. Then it's boarded by some random people. And if you're reading, like, you very instantly know who it is, but it isn't truly revealed until the end. That it's the Twilight Council that has somehow made its way back to the Impossible City, hijacked it, took it into this pocket dimension where the Avengers are to now help the Avengers. And the reason for the significance on that is Merdin created this Twilight Council to fight off the Avengers. And the reason he did it is like he basically needed to get the Avengers to the point to then help him get to this point of the missing moment. But then once he had no further use of them, cast them away. I thought they were just dead, gone, in a different dimension, whatever the case may be. But the Twilight Council originally had the Impossible City, which is an enormous space aircraft carrier type of ship, and they called it Camelot. And so they reference Camelot before it gets to the end of the issue. So you've been reading for a while, you already knew. But then sure enough, so now they're all there. Twilight Council, the own group of people and heroes that Kang created, are there to fight him along with the Avengers, along with the Impossible City itself. So that is setting up a huge epic battle that's about to take place in issue number 33. So pretty awesome there. So with that, get into the artwork here. Artwork is very good. I'd say kind of standard Marvel, maybe a step above from an action perspective. Oh, I forgot Hyperion is here as well. He was featured in some earlier issues as well. So, very action focused, and it's going to continue this way until we wrap this Avengers up and then we start off kind of a new one. So nice little explosion that we have there. And then the cool part when we reveal the Impossible City at the end with the Twilight Council. So, yeah. That's Avengers number 32. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.8. Alrighty, then the last one from this week's polls is going to be G.I. Joe number 13. Now, didn't rate this one as high as Lee, but I could see it. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.4. This is the start of the Dreadnought War, part 1 of 5. So this is an excellent one to jump into. I think you would be totally and completely fine. This book here is very cool. We have a little bit of a reset. So Cobra, and remember, this is the Energon universe. So we have Cobra, of course, of Cobra Commander and Destro. And he also has this guy, I think his name Buzzer, who's part of these swamp people. If you would have read the Cobra Commander book, you would have known all about what happened there. But basically, Cobra Commander was captured by these swamp people. He escaped, killed most of them, and he found a huge deposit of Energon there. So that Energon deposit, we start in this issue, is completely depleted. So they got to find more Energon in order to build more weapons, basically. So Cobra Commander knows of a new deposit, and he wants to go out there by himself. So Destro is having this conversation with Cobra. Cobra leaves, and he sees Buzzer. He's like, you've been so loyal, even after all the crazy stuff that you did to all your people in the swamp, which then kind of plants the idea of like, okay, there's going to be some sort of betrayal. Meanwhile, on the G.I. Joe side, Duke, he goes and he's on a bit of an R&R, but they're like, hey, you're super close. There's this anomaly for this Energon thing. We think you should go and check it out. So Cobra's going to this anomaly. Duke's going to this anomaly. It's in the middle of the desert. From Duke's perspective, he's like, there's nothing out here. And then sure enough, boom, he sees Cobra out there digging away. And then Buzzer goes, he blasts out the sand, and he finds something. And it's just basically a beacon that's pulsing. And Cobra's like, oh, this is definitely a trap of some sort. And it was Buzzer who lays the trap. So it blows everything up. And I guess he called the rest of his swamp people out here to try to kill Cobra Commander. And whether it be take over, Cobra, or like kind of partner together with Destro, they're going after Cobra Commander. And just when it looks like he's about to kill him, Duke then steps in. Duke steps in and he saves Cobra Commander. Like, what? So he saves him, and then they both end up leaving and escaping together in a Jeep. So obviously Buzzer then links up with all of his swamp people, and then they start chasing after them. So we got Duke and Cobra Commander in the Jeep working together, which is like, holy shit, what the hell? So I understand why people rated it so high. The reason I gave it a 4, though, is like, okay, like, here we go again of like the power struggle. This is like the 4th power struggle between which side is winning on the Cobra side. And I was like, I don't know about that. But it is kind of a cool twist on it, and where we have the good guy and bad guy kind of working together. So while that all happens, Destro is kind of de facto leader now, and he's like sitting on top of the throne, and he's de facto running Cobra. So yeah, that's the issue. Pretty cool. Let's flip into the artwork itself. I think, like I mentioned, a really, really good one to jump into, but specifically when I turn to this page, it has like the full detail of like everything that has happened to catch you up 1 through 12 thus far. So yeah, now is definitely like an excellent one to just jump into. Artwork's always been solid, but for me, it's always been about like the shock factor in this series. And that definitely continues here. Look at that splash of like kind of Mad Maxy with the swamp people heading through the desert. That looks freaking awesome. So yeah, it's a cool book. Like, look at this. Got Duke and Cobra Commander in the Jeep together driving off. Like, come on, beat that. And then at the end, we have Destro sitting on the Cobra throne. Awesome. So yeah, that's G.I. Joe issue number 13. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.4. Alrighty, into the backlogs here. We got our Resident Gunner book here. So we have Emma Frost, the White Queen, issue number 4. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it Lee gave it a 3.9. So I'm pretty much, right on with what Lee had as well. And so, it tries to be a Gunner book, of course, because Emma Frost, like this crazy hot model blonde, but it really is not like that type of book. We have almost a little bit of like an espionage book, and Emma just trying to clear her name at this point. So this is like the origin of Emma Frost, and it takes place after like X-Men back in the 60s. So it's like the true origin here. And she is part of the Hellfire club, and she's being blackmailed or basically framed is what I'm looking for, as a mole that sold information to the X-Men on how to get into the Hellfire Club. So there's a mutant there. They had them captured. The X-Men came in and destroyed this Hellfire Club that just opened up in Buenos Aires. And Emma Frost is basically getting blamed for it. So last issue, she went out to Hong Kong. She was asking help from a friend. She was betrayed there. Now she's going out to Vegas doing the same thing, asking for help from another person. And it seems like she may actually help her, offers her a drink. There's poison in the drink. She passes out, and they take her to the desert. When they leave her in the desert, it turns out it's just a whole bunch of dead and destroyed Sentinels, and they come alive and they start attacking. So she's out there by herself, and then when it looks like she's down and out to get blasted in the face, Mystique of all people comes in for the save. So she helps her fight everything off, and Emma's like, okay, so I guess I trust you now. And Mystique is like, hey, I know it's Sebastian Shaw, and it's a classic thing. Sebastian Shaw is like basically this big old tech mogul, right? Or not even tech, just like just corporate entrepreneur, asshole, maverick type dude. And so he is basically like, yeah, he sold out a whole bunch of mutants just to make a buck. And the one thing I can't stand is when mutants turn on mutants. This is what Mystique says. So it's like, we got to go after him. And so Emma thinks about it for a second. She's like, all right, I'm with you. And now they're going to ride off to New York together and then go after against Sebastian Shaw, Tessa. And then we also have Emma's assistant, Noor, who also kind of betrayed her in the beginning as well. So that'll all conclude in issue number 5, and that'll be it for Emma Frost, the White Queen. So the artwork itself, is fine. You know, it tries to get sexy, but it's like as much as Marvel is like willing to do, right? So that's all you're really going to get from this. There are plenty other ways to find Gunnar comics rather than Marvel, but it does its best, if you will. Outside of that, yeah, the artwork is fine. The story itself is cool. Like, it's an enjoyable, fun time. So we got Mystique showing up on this motorcycle, pretty badass. And yeah, they're just going to go after Shaw, and we'll see how that all goes. So yeah, that is Emma Frost, the White Queen, issue number 4. Then, to continue with X-Men, we got X-Men number 22. This book I would describe as like a setup book is the best way to explain it. So I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4 as well.
Nailed it. I know. Thank you. Moving on.
And, you know, this book, I mean, it's fine. It's Cyclops was in jail. He got into a tiff with the leader of ONE. I think it's like the only national something. So he's been in jail for a minute, and he just wanted to wait in jail until he was freed by the law, which he was. X-Men all regroup after a quick task force went out and took care of the upstarts, I think it was. So now they're regrouping, and they're trying to decide what they're going to do next. Juggernaut and Beast, they get into it a little bit, but nothing too heated. Basically, that Juggernaut killed someone or one of the upstarts in front of this brand new X-Men recruit, and it's like, geez, like, you're really gonna do that and be that brutal right in front of a brand new, like a child, basically. Say, hey, we gotta show her this is how brutal the world is. It just kind of is what it is. So they have that disagreement there. And then when the X-Men finally regroup and Cyclops is trying to figure out, okay, here's what we're gonna do next, then you have Ramsey show up, and he shows up with his entourage, which was featured back in issue number 20, I want to say. And he is the Revelation, so the heir to Apocalypse. And he is going to, like, some way, somehow, bring Apocalypse back. So obviously, Cyclops is like, well, I don't trust you. Like, why would that be? And he's like, well, relax. I'm nothing like Apocalypse. He's not even here. Just like Xavier's not here, and you're nothing like him. And we have no place to go. We just want to join up with you guys. And so Cyclops puts it to a vote. What do you guys think? They pretty much all agree except 2 abstain. And then they bring in, they're like, okay, you can join. You and he's got like an AI friend, and I think it's his wife basically, through being the heir of Apocalypse. So he goes to shake Scott's hand. And when he shakes his hand, Scott like loses his mind. And so Omega Kid tries to read his mind. It's like, it's not really like a telekinetic thing. We don't know what's going on. And then Cyclops lets off this huge like optical blast, like looking up as Cyclops always does. And so we don't know what's actually going on here. It's like as soon as he touched Ramsey, it's like, whoa. And then what the hell happened? So that's the cliffhanger. We'll see where it all goes. Truly just a setup issue. Is it the one to jump into? Yeah, I guess so, because it's going to set up what happens next. But we're already involved in the Age of Revelation. So I want to say this is the last one that came out. Yeah, so the next X-Men number 23 doesn't come out until January. So I think now we're just straight up in the Age of Revelation. So this is current at this point, which is nuts to say. I am now current on X-Men after all this time. I think I have one book left. It may just be the Emma Frost White Queen issue number 5, and that may be the last X-Men book, and then I'm 100% caught up with X-Men, which was the biggest stack. So then I'm pretty close to Miles. Miles, I think number 40 is like the most current. And then next up here, I review it as issue number 36. And then the next biggest one that I have is Batman and Robin. So I have quite a ways to go from there. I think about a dozen or so. So anyways, yeah, this would be the one to catch up. I mean, this would then be current on X-Men. So let's go into the artwork here. Artwork is good. You know, it's standard X-Men, and a lot of it is conversational stuff, so we don't get any like cool fight scenes or anything like that up until the end. So yeah, here's where you have heir to the Apocalypse. They show up, teleport in, and they're like, hey, we're all here for, yeah, Doug Ramsey, that's who it is. We're all here to join. And they basically have the conversation back and forth. Do we trust you? Do we not trust you? Here's where we have the vote, and everyone's trying to decide. And they basically unanimously allow him in. This is where Scott goes crazy, lets off that optical blast at the end. So yeah, that's X-Men issue number 22. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4 as well. And then our second to last book, we have Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 36. So I gave this one a 4. Lee gave it a 3.7. I was definitely between a 3.5 and a 4, so that makes sense to me. This is definitely a case of all's well that ends well type of storytelling, right? So we have Miles, who's fighting on behalf of Anansi, which is the Egyptian god, fighting off against Ares. We have this big battle that's taking place. Each of them have like 4 different champions that are fighting for them, and we're at basically the final challenge. We've gone to different arenas, from Mount Olympus to this valley where Hercules had this trial, to now we are back in Brooklyn fighting in front of Miles' school of Brooklyn Vision. So we learned last issue of why Anansi has this grudge against Ares. He basically framed one of his heralds into saying something like in jest to Athena, which basically had her killed. So this is a revenge plot. Ares now super pissed off that like he even brought it up, and Ares is basically losing it. So the fight is on, and at first it seems like Ares's heralds, champions, whatever, like maybe they're gonna fight, maybe they're not. Then they're a little standoffish, and then Miles basically convinces him, like, yo, like we're threatening innocent civilians. Like he's not the purpose of this challenge. It's supposed to be, you know, between champions and demagogues, and it's supposed to be almost an exhibition thing, but it does decide a victor in the end, not hurt anyone. And so slowly he convinces Zip and the other demigods and things to either abstain or join their side, like Zip does. And so they all fight off Ares. They're able to fight him. They neutralize him. Ares yields. And then from there, Anansi and Ares set up a new accord. And Anansi basically says, you go against any of my heralds again, we're going to bring down the whole wrath of like all the Egyptian gods on you. Ares agrees. He backs off and he leaves. And then it's like kind of an all's well that ends well. So Anansi's happy. He has a conversation with Miles and is like, I'll be honest with you. I used you because I knew that you would be able to help me win this. So now I'm going to take a step back. I really don't know if he's still like, if Miles is still the herald or not. I have no idea. But he's going to take a step back and not be featured in these books kind of moving forward. So we'll just have to wait and see. And, you know, Miles, his clone brother Shift, and Gus, they end up going back to school, and that's the end. So at the very end, though, we get this reveal of two characters who are going to likely be the next arc that takes place. So it is Inari and Whitecap are the two that are going to be featured in the next book. So I don't know who those characters are, whether they're villains, they're anti-heroes, they're people from Miles' past. It's going to be brand spanking new for me. So this is the end of this arc. It's part 5 of this God War arc. And so issue number 37 is going to be the start of something new. So yeah, with that, let's go ahead and jump into the artwork here. Very, very good in the art. You know how I like Miles' artwork a lot. Continues that trend as it really always has. So no issue there. I'd say this is some of the best like ongoing artwork is Miles Morales. I like this scene a lot too. This is like fighting through the school, and the way that it's basically shown from like classroom to classroom, floor to floor, and you have like multiple of the like actions within one panel. It's done really well. So yeah, then towards the end, the realization that Ares has just lost his mind. We got to fight against him. They all basically fight together. Ares yields, and all the heroes go off happily ever after. This is where Anansi has a conversation with Miles. Yeah, I tricked you, but it's all good. I'm going to leave you be. And then we're kind of back to reality. And then here's where those two cats are of Inari and White Cat. So yeah, that's Miles Morales issue number 36. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it 3.7. And then our final book is Battle Chasers, the conclusion of this very, very, very long-running 9-issue trade. So the whole thing in total, because I can now rate it, I would give it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2 overall. And I'd say the first half is a 4.5 for sure. And then the second half, it feels like the story got a little disjointed. And you could tell that like they were coming towards the end of like doing this run. So I understand. Because in the last section that I read, it's like 2 stories are told here. One is Red Monica, who's this thief, like super voluptuous woman, as you'll see as I go through the artwork here. We learn about her origin story, basically, how she became a thief in the first place. She stole this dagger from like a whole bunch of these zealots. She tried to sell it. She decided to keep it as she started her thief career. And then later on, she sold it back to those same fanatics for a profit. And then she stole it again, which is hilarious. Then we get to another story about her and her relationship with Garrison. So they weren't really together, but maybe they were kind of together, or like they were like best friends. Seemed like they may be together. Garrison finds out the news that he got accepted into the academy. Red Monica's like really pissed off about it because she's like, well, if you're accepted into the academy, that means you're going to be part of the guard. If you're part of the guard, and if you're not fighting in a war, you're basically going to be an officer. I'm a thief, so you're going to have to go after me and like get me locked up. Are you going to do that? Yes, no. Garrison promises not to do that, and then they're like kind of play fighting throughout. So that's it, and that's the conclusion here. From issue number 9 to issue number 10 is like quite a while. I think it's like years and years and years between the two. So issue number 9 came out in 2001. And then now you had issue number 10 that came out in like 2023. So what are we talking? Like 22 years of gap between those books. So it's quite a wide range, but I'm interested to see where they all pick up on the story when we get into the remaining. It's 3 issues then. They do 10, 11, and 12. So here you have some of the artwork and things like that. But for the piece that I actually read here was kind of the start of it with the thieves and how Red Monica became her thing. Now, Red Monica, again, this is early 2000s comic, right? So a lot of boob, a lot of butt, all that stuff, right? So very goonery throughout, and it's like kind of a very notorious character as well. But I love the art style from like the saturation, and on top of that, it's like the last 2 issues in particular are like very manga influenced, whereas the rest of the book wasn't like that. So I feel like they just like, okay, let's get fun with it, and then kind of close it out for 2 decades before they decide to get back into it. So yeah, that's Battle Chasers. Really enjoyed this book overall. For these 9 issues, this ran $25. So I mean, worth it in my opinion for all 9 issues. It's just a fun piece. So yeah, it's Battle Chasers, the anthology. Plus, of course, you get all the different variant covers that they had at the end, which is good too. It's really nice quality paper as well. I'm really happy with it. So that is it. That is a show. Let's go ahead and recap all the books that we reviewed, and then we'll get into the polls for next week. So we had Absolute Superman issue number 13, The War in Smallville. It looks like Ra's al Ghul has the upper hand here. Minor Arcana issue number 11. Story is starting to come together with this big conspiracy for this dam being built. Huck, the Big Bad World. We have the conclusion here. Huck and his family seem to succeed, and the supers will live on. Rook Exodus issue number 8. We're trying to free Bloodhound and introduce to the new character of Stag. The Avengers number 32. The Twilight Council comes back and helps in the fight against Kang. G.I. Joe issue number 13. We got Duke and Cobra Commander actually teaming up together while Destro assumes control of Cobra. Emma Frost, the White Queen issue number 4. Looks like Emma's betrayed yet again, but now she's going to work with Mystique to take down Sebastian Shaw. X-Men number 22. We got Doug Ramsey teaming up with the X-Men, but something's going on with Mr. Scott Summers. Miles Morales, Spider-Man, issue number 36. The conclusion to the God War. This is part 5. Anansi and Miles are able to defeat Ares, and it looks like Anansi's going to take a back seat. And then Battle Chasers, the conclusion to this book, where we have Red Monica's origin story along with Red Monica and Garrison's relationship when they were younger. So yeah, that's it. Those are the 10 books. I do hope you enjoyed those. So with that, let's now move into the picks for next week. All right, we are locked and loaded with 10 books in total. So we have Batman 162. This was delayed for quite a while. So interested to see how this one goes. I think we only have 2 more before this iteration of Batman concludes. And then they only move forward with a new one. So 162. Then Green Lantern Corp issue number 10. I think this is my last one. Or I may have dropped it already. So we'll see if that actually shows up in my box. Then we have Iron and Frost issue number 2. Then the Power Fantasy issue number 13. Really, really looking forward to that one. That should be awesome. Redcoat number 15, another awesome book. Superman the Kryptonite Spectrum issue number 4. Transformers number 26. It's actually interesting when I was reading through G.I. Joe and they said like, oh, there's this anomaly, there's this blip on the radar for Energon. In issue number 25, they showed that they have a bunch of Energon stored up, the humans do, way down in the earth. So I thought maybe when they went in and tried to show to Optimus, here's the Energon, that somehow a signal got out, but they aren't tying it together like that, so we'll see. Then Ultimate Wolverine issue number 11. We're taking everyone down with us, issue number 6. I think that's the conclusion. And then this new one from Image. So Youngblood Mass Market Edition. I think this is a book that came out a while ago and it's like a reprinting of it. So it looks interesting. I think the shop recommended it. So I was like, okay, well, let's kind of try it out, see how it goes. It's kind of sort of giving Local Man vibes, but I don't know. It could be something totally and completely different. So always willing to try some new stuff here and there, So yeah, those are the 10 books and not a single backlog in any of them, which is good. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually get to the shop on Wednesday and pick them up, but I could potentially read through all of them. But now I'm at the point where the backlog's like truly, I'm now like picking at scraps here. Like I got some things lined up for next week. I'll be starting up a new trade more than likely for the Omega. So it's like getting to the point where like I continue at the same trajectory. Maybe 6 months from now, I'm 100% caught up. Certainly within the next year, with the Omega pretty much every single week afterwards. So yeah, we'll just see if we can continue to do that. That is kind of the goal, just to continue to try to improve this 1% at a time every single day. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. You can find Saturday Morning Comic Review in the description below. Obviously available on Spotify, Apple Podcast for the audio version. Video, of course, is going to be on YouTube. You can find the social media for all the different channels where I post. Although I haven't been doing that nearly as much recently, just on the stories. And I was just doing like this AI thing of like, oh yeah, here are all the different covers. And then it'd do like a fancy transition over some sort of random templated track. And it'd get like a couple likes every now and then, but it'll be like, does anyone really care about this? It's a lot of effort, and not effort in the sense of like, it's hard, but in the sense of time to just get like 5 likes. So I don't know if it's actually genuinely worth it or not. But anyways, if I pick it back up, that's where you would follow me. So yeah, feel free to comment, like, share, subscribe, do the things that you got to do. Let's spread this out, get as much or as many people interested as possible. And yeah, we'll go ahead and close it out. So thank you again so very much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
This has been a DMW production. Thanks for stopping by.